Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our group presentation. The name of our group is Logic. My name is Humaira Martia. The name of our topic is RAM. Before starting the topic, let's get introduced to our group members. Here is the group members. Uh, First, we have Fuad Al Hassan, then Khondakar Huzaifa Ibn Shafiq, Muhammad Nafiz Ghaffar, and me, Humaira Martia. So, this is a topic list that we are going to discuss in our presentation. So, first we have what is a RAM, and then how does a RAM works, and then types of RAMs, what is DRAM, what is SRAM, types of DRAM, simulation, and lastly advantages and disadvantages of a RAM. So, what's a RAM? RAM stands for random access memory. It is a type of memory in which all the addresses are accessible in equal amount of time and can be selected in any order for a read or write operation. Usually all RAMs have both read and write capability. Usually RAM lose data when the power is turned off, and because of that they called volatile memory. Usually it requires power to keep the data accessible. Then how does a RAM work? RAM is essentially super fast, high storage that computer in our computer and its application utilized to store and access the temporary data. It can be thought of computer's short-term memory. It works storing common data that programs in a constant use of, rather than storing the data on a much slower medium like a solid-state hard drive. RAM doesn't automatically have data saved on each chip though. So this is all from me. The rest of the slides will be covered by the other members of the groups. Thank you.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fawzal Hassan. Thank you, Humaira Martia and our honorable sir for giving me this opportunity to present this presentation. My part is described to types of RAMs. There are two main types of RAMs, static RAM and dynamic RAM. What is static RAM? Static RAM is a type of RAM that retains data bits into its memory as long as power is being supplied. Static RAM is totally different to dynamic RAM because dynamic RAM requires regularly refreshing data that is stored in the memory. So, static RAM's speed is fastest to dynamic RAM as well as it consumes less power to dynamic RAM. Main objective of using the static RAM is to make cache memory. Static RAM is more expensive because it is made with using of much complicated structure. Due to this, static RAM chips have not ability to hold much data compared to dynamic RAM, so static RAM is used mostly into small size applications like as CPU cache, memory and hard drive, buffers, CDs, printers, modem, routers, DVDs, extent and digital cameras. What is dynamic RAM? Dynamic RAM is a technical term for a type of RAM that can retain its contents only for a very brief period and must therefore be continually refreshed by reading its contents at short intervals. Dynamic RAM makes use of a capacitor and stores every bit of data on the different two capacitor. It is most efficient way to store data as the space required for the storage of data is less as compared to the static RAM. The power requirement of the dynamic RAM is more as we have to keep the capacitors refreshed so that they can continue their charge as the leakage of charge is there within the capacitor. Despite the fact that dynamic RAM requires extra refresh circuitry to design into the computer's processor bus, it has until recently been the most widely used type of memory because it is so much cheaper to manufacture than static RAM. Types of dynamic RAM. Asynchronous dynamic RAM. The dynamic RAM described above is the asynchronous type dynamic RAM. The timing of the memory device is controlled asynchronously. Synchronous dynamic RAM. This RAM chip's access speed is directly synchronized with the CPU's clock. Fast page mode dynamic RAM. It was designed to be faster than conventional types of dynamic RAM. RAM bus dynamic RAM. It provides a very high data transfer rate over a narrow CPU memory bus. It uses various speed up mechanisms. Cache data dynamic RAM. This memory is a special type of dynamic RAM memory with an or chip cache memory that acts as a high-speed buffer to the main dynamic RAM. This is the end of my presentation. I would like to invite next presenter to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for giving me a chance to brief our simulation. You know that our presentation topic is RAM, and one of my team members recently discussed the type of RAM. Now I am going to brief a simulation of one kind of RAM, which is SRAM. All static RAM is characterized by a less memory cells. Here we create a flip-flop storage cells which are typically implemented in integrated circuits with several MOS transistors, whereas the dynamic memory cells store a data bit in a capacitor rather than a flip-flop or a less memory. When we applied a DC power to the static memory cell, it can retain a 1 or 0 indefinitely. When we remove the power, the stored data bit is lost. The major application of SRAM is cache memories in computers. That's all about my part. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you, my fellow mate, for giving me the opportunity. Now I'm gonna talk about the advantages and disadvantages of RAM. First of all, the CPU can read data faster than RAM compared to hard disk, CD, DVD, floppy disk, and USB. There is very little use of power, in which battery life increases. Uh, there are the moving parts in it. None of its part move. The computer has less RAM because each bit is very expensive. It is volatile, in which data cannot be stored forever. It is very expensive. Now I'd like to talk about the companies which makes memory. These are some uh, companies which makes memory. uh, a Open, Arch Memory, Billiton Systems, Corsair, Crucial, and we all know about this company Intel. It's very famous among us. In the end, uh, uh, I'm gonna say that RAM is the computer resources. It's reusable or can be used of RAM, referred to as the volatile products. That means if the power is disconnected from the computer and computer is dead, all content in the computer that's stored in RAM can be lost permanently, because RAM is temporary and volatile than the other storage media to create a permanent nature. That's all for today. Thank you very much.